So tonight, we got hate. I'm gonna let y'all decide. We got love or hate mail right here from this guy or this gal. What's the name? Jasmore Mosley. We gonna make them famous tonight. So Jasmore Mosley 440 says, this is 3 minutes ago. He or she says that God hates evil. I don't understand. No, you don't understand. You don't understand who created evil. And why would you hate something that you created? Didn't God create evil? Would you create something that you hate? Wouldn't you destroy something that you hate? Why would you entertain something or go along with something that you hate? If God really hates evil, then why does he allow it? Why does it continue? Why can't he defeat it? That's my question for you, since you say that God hates evil. Another thing, if God hates evil, the scripture also says that God hates all evildoers. So if you are sinning, if it's any sin in your life, you are doing evil. And if it's any evil in your life, what does that mean for you? That means that this same God that you say hates evil also hates you. Now, why would you love a God that hates you? Ask yourself that question. Why would you love a God that hates you? And why would a God who hates evil create evil? Ask yourself those two questions. And why would this God continue to allow or permit or assist in the evil that's going on if he really hated that much? Think about that. They also said that God ain't human. How do you know what God is? How do you know what God is and what God ain't? Because if you ever read your book, according to your book, he was walking in the garden. According to your book, this God needed to rest on the seventh day. He needed to take a rest. He needed a break from creating everything that we see in the world, right? So if your God is not a man, then wasn't Jesus a man? If you believe that Jesus is God, Jesus became a man. God came down as a man in the Old Testament. He was walking, right? Abraham asked God for something to eat. Jacob wrestled with God. He put God in a choke, in a figure four leg lock. He wrestled with God, made God tap out. What are we talking about? Your God came from the minds of man. What do you think your God can you prove that your God came from heaven? Your book came from men. Everything about your God came from a man. So what are we talking about? Everything you know about God came from a man, from the minds of men. So how you gonna say God is not a man? And how do you know what God is apart from the Bible? How do you know what he is or what he ain't? And why? Let's not even get into that. Let me go to, he say God ain't human. Stop trying to think like God. We don't want to think like God. My thinking ain't nothing like God. You're thinking like God because you're a believer. You sound like you're a believer, so you're thinking like God. My thinking is contrary to God, right? Even though I'm a man, my thoughts are higher than God's thoughts, because God's thoughts came from men who are lower than me, who think lower than me. So my thoughts are higher than his thoughts. Stop trying to think like God and think like men. That's the problem. Live right. You will see God. You ain't never seen God, and you ain't never gonna see God. If you want to see God, look in the mirror. That's the only way you're gonna ever see God. And when you look in the mirror, who will you see? You will see a man, or you will see a woman. So now we back to square one. God will either be a man or a woman. Didn't he make men and women in his likeness and his image? If God made men in his likeness, his image and likeness, who do you think we are supposed to look like? What do you think God looked like if he made us in his image? How can this God be anything more or less than a man? Go study, man. Learn your book. Study to show yourself approved before you come in my inbox, man.